Hello, fellow truffle hunters. I recently had the amazing opportunity to give a presentation at the 2025 ATIA conference, and I wanted to share some of the aspects of my presentation with people who hadn't been able to make it, or people who did, but wanted to hear it again, or parts of it again, because there was a lot of content to take in the hour and a half that I spoke. This topic is about how well dogs can understand human body language, how this can affect scent work training, and how to use their skills in understanding our body language to aid in training. And dogs have evolved specialized skills in recognizing and interpreting human social communicative signals in a way that no other animal to date has been able to achieve. Even our closest relatives, the apes, haven't been able to make the leaps in understanding that dogs can. When a dog gives attention to a human's head turn or hand gesture or pointing at something, it demonstrates an understanding of the psychological processes that's happening inside that human's mind and of their communicative intent via their body language. And we thought this was a distinctively human skill. They did some tests on apes to start with because they were our closest relative, and they thought that if humans can do this, maybe apes can as well. And the test was simple. In our eyes, it's quite simple. But apes had a lot of trouble with it. And this was the test. They had 2 cups and a treat in your hand. They showed the ape the treat, and then a barrier would come down. And the ape couldn't see which cup the treat went into. The barrier was then removed, and the human would point at the cup which had the treat. The ape would have to see the gesture and then think about, what is the human thinking? What are they trying to tell me? They're remembering where the treat is, they're trying to help me, and they're pointing at the treat, at the cup which has the treat, and that's the one that they're going to pick. And it's a lot of steps. When you break it down into these tiny steps, it sounds really silly. And it's really obvious to us, and it's obvious to 14-month-old human babies who did this test. However, the apes couldn't do it. The first time they did the test, they couldn't understand what the pointing was all about. They could learn the sequence of events. If they did the test multiple times, they could learn the human was pointing at the cup which had the treat. But the first time they did it, they couldn't understand, which means that on a genetic level, they couldn't understand the human's body language. So because apes were our closest relative, they thought that that's only a human skill. That is until they tested dogs. Dogs could instinctively understand, like the human 14-month-old baby. Even puppies as young as 6 weeks old who had never done this test before could put it all together and understand the non-verbal communicative intent the human was trying to provide. And it was on a genetic level. That is, within their genome. It wasn't a learnt response because they'd never done this test before. There's been some excellent research done by Brian Hare and Michael Tomasello about the convergent evolution of dogs and humans, where that we've evolved parallel to each other. So dogs have human-like social skills, even though they're so distantly related to us genetically. However, due to ecology and environment, it's shaped them in a similar way. And it's because of this ability to understand the mental processes of our minds via human body language that dogs, unlike any other animal, have such good non-verbal communicative skills with us. So bringing it back to truffle work, the experiments they conducted are a huge eye-opener to the scientific reasons why I've been training my human students to do certain things, like have the treat in your hand well before you get to the hide. In certain situations where you think you're not giving a dog a clue as to the location of a hide, you might actually be yelling it loud and clear. The simple angle of your body towards a hide, quick turn of your head towards it, subtle step in its direction, the slight movement of your hand brushing against the treat bag, picking up the treat in preparation to giving it. As the dog's getting closer, you may not be verbally saying anything, but your dog can understand these body language cues. And by giving them these non-verbal cues, you're encouraging them to pay you visual attention and thus reducing their attention to their olfactory receptors. And keep in mind, a dog's field of view is 270 degrees because of where their eyes are on their head. We only see 180, but they can see a lot more behind them that we can't. So you may think they can't see you, but they might be able to. They may begin to know that the hide is nearby, and then they might alert close but not at the source, and that fosters inaccurate marking, or worse, fake alerts. We have to convince our dogs that we know where all the truffles are and that they won't get the reward unless they're spot on. That subtle movement you made, which makes them preemptively alert and they get rewarded, because in the Truffle you don't know where it is, it fosters inaccurate marking, or worse, fake alerts. Those of you who've done my course know that I've been harping on about not reaching for the treat when you're getting close to the hide, and it turns out there's a very good scientific reason as to why this is important. So the next thing I want to talk about is a video. This video, it demonstrates how well dogs can understand our human body language. This is a dog called Bonnie, and just prior to this search, I watched her do a search with her owner to see what level she was up to, what she needed to work with. She needed to work with more independent searching. She looked to her owner a lot when doing a search. She wanted more direction than was necessary. She's one of the dogs in my Truffle past students page. So I very deliberately had my hands behind my back to not give her any hand clues. She watched me a lot at the very start, and she only independently starts searching when I look away from her. She searches the direction I'm looking, and upon finding nothing, she looks back to me for help again. I'm silent. I don't give her any attention. I don't look at her, turn my head, but I do one thing. I deliberately change the weight from my right foot to my left foot, and thereby leaning ever so slightly towards where the truffle hide was. And she sees this slight movement, and she starts turning straight towards the way I was leaning. So she sees this movement as a point, and she turns and starts to search that direction. And only when she's turned her back do I actually look back at her again. So we'll play the video, have a watch. It does all happen very fast. You may need to play it again second time. These body language cues are very subtle. It does take time to be able to see these things in real time. So I recommend to my students to video their dog when they're searching, and then play back the video in slow motion so you can pick up more of their dog's body language. Let's have a watch.
Sit right around the edge, right around the corner. Good job! Yay! Well done, and a happy wag.
So I hope you've been able to understand some of those body language cues that the dog could do and understand from me, and how I used my body language to give her a clue without verbally saying anything. And so I sometimes do that on purpose. So I deliberately give them a clue very subtly. If the dog's having a lot of trouble finding a hide, or they're getting tired in the end of a training session, I might give them a slight clue by angling my body or taking one step in its direction. I keep it really subtle. I don't want the dog to start relying on me. It's just used as a backup if I need to end the session on a good note. However, most of the time, a dog looks at me for direction, I will completely ignore them while they're staring at me. I don't offer any eye contact or look down at them. I hold still and I wait as a statue. And this occurred with Kovu when he was learning scent work. Sometimes I'd have to wait up to 20 to 30 seconds, still as a statue, waiting for him to realize that I wasn't going to help him. He needs to know that he's the expert at finding the source, as eventually I won't know where the truffles are in the Truffle. He would eventually get back to searching, he'd find the hide no trouble, and this built his confidence a lot faster than if I helped him. And of course, when he found it, once he got back to searching and found the hide, lots of praise, lots of congratulations. And then if he was having trouble, that was probably the end of the training session. So to sum up, dogs can really understand our body language a lot more than we think. They can see a lot further back than what we can. And you can use the fact that they understand our body language to your advantage to give them a slight clue as to where a hide might be. But most of the time, you're going to want to not give them a clue. You're going to really want them to get confident in themselves. And the fastest way is to let them do it. Dogs love the find it game. They love searching. It's a hot and cold game that you played as a kid. You know, hot, 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 cold, 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 freezing, freezing, freezing. Doing all that searching is what they love. It's the most fun for them. Finding the treat is the end of the game. Finding the hide is the end of the game. The bit before that, that's the fun part for them. So by helping them, you're taking away some of the fun part that they really love. So it's really important to foster that independent searching and not help them if they're asking you to. But there is always a time where it does come in handy if they're having trouble and you want to end the hide on a good note. So I hope you enjoyed this little chat, and I'll talk about a bit more of the things that I spoke at my presentation in due time. Thanks for listening. As a little addition to that presentation, I thought I would add in one more search with Bonnie, just for you guys to have a little look at the body language and see what you can work out from her body language. This one was also done on the 25th of June 2023 when I first met Bonnie and her owner. And then the last video is a video a month and a half later after doing the intermediate course with me. It's clear that Bonnie and her owner had done a lot of work in between June 25th to August 7th, 2023. You can see her independently searching in a Truffier, super distracting environments. There was kangaroos in the Truffier as well. And you can just see she's a completely different dog, doing amazing work, which is a testament to all the hard work that her and her owner did in the meantime going through that coursework. Hope you enjoy the videos.
Good job! Yay! Good girl! All done! Just follow her here. She's on the scent. Tag's wagging. Good job! Well done! Put it in your pocket. Got the chicken in your hand still? Let's keep going.